Hello, Warrior TV. Steve Knapp and Tessa Spamberg back with our latest episode of Empower You. And today we're stepping out of our comfort zone. We're going to be learning today. We're not going to be giving as much knowledge as normal. We're going to be doing a lot of understanding. We've got the mindset warrior himself, Adam Duval, and the mini warrior, Lucas, is going to be joining us. And we can't wait to learn a whole heap about autism, the autistic brain, parenting an autistic child, and Tessa and I are just going to bring everything we can to the mix around all sorts of flavour that will attach to that, around it, other parenting issues. We're just going to run amok. So we'll do the quick intro and we will see you shortly. Here they are. How we going, everybody?
Yeah, good.
You good?
Good. Yeah.
I'm going to have to raise something with you, Steve. I'm not the mindset warrior.
Oh, sorry. I've elevated you up to my standards. It's all right. It's just the mental health warrior. It's okay.
Yep.
And we have our youngest ever guest that Tessa and I have had on a show by quite a long way. How are you, Lucas?
Good.
That's good. Hey, I have heard you've got something pretty special to share with our audience tonight. Hey. Half the time he's not even looking and he's smashing it.
Oh, Lucas.
And we've got some in the comments already. Caroline's here. Hi, Caroline. Thanks so much for watching. Kerry's here. Mum's watching this, Lucas. And the amazing Elizabeth tuning in from Canada. Thanks so much for joining us too.
Hi, everybody.
You got it?
Oh, and we've got Jenny Barrett. We've got the Kiwis on. Everyone's on. This is awesome.
This needs sharing.
This is like, you're already way beyond where I'd be after 15 years, Lucas. I've got to tell you.
You got it? Oh,
Yeah.
you've made a mistake, haven't you?
No, I haven't.
No. Come on.
He's building suspense, mate. Leave him be.
Yeah.
Oh, don't hide it.
Yeah, show us. You did it.
Show him. No, go on, show him.
Yeah, see, if I was doing it, you wouldn't be able to see it. Nice.
Awesome. That's amazing.
Well done, mate. That's brilliant. See, that would have taken me about 17 minutes and it would have all been hidden as I was peeling off stickers and sticking them on the other side. I would have guaranteed I would have been cheating for sure. That was brilliant.
How many a Rubik's Cube has been ruined?
It is my record. It is 35 seconds.
Oh, you've been asked the question.
What did you say?
Go on, Lucas.
What? I misheard that.
Oh, no, we were just saying that in our day, we just used to, some people just used to pull the stickers off because they couldn't
This
actually
has
do
no.
it. Hey, is it hard
Yes,
to pull
it's
it off?
No stickers.
So you can't
they're
cheat.
clever.
They cottoned on to people like me and Tessa that normally do dodgy things to make that stuff work. That's brilliant, mate. You're a champion. Well done.
What else do you like doing, Lucas?
Maths.
Maths?
Now
You
my
love
main
maths?
maths subject is algebra. But I
Ooh.
know like college level maths, like calculus.
Wow.
You'd get
Are
on
you
great
enjoying-
with my eldest son.
Huh?
Dylan, my eldest son, Dylan, he and Lucas would get on like a house on fire. He's massive into maths as well. He loves it. Now he's studying accounting because he just has a mind for numbers. I love it.
That's fantastic. That's fantastic. And what other subjects do you like?
Like,
Are you doing science?
yep, science.
Yeah. Do you like science?
Yes, of course.
Of course. Do you get to do experiments?
You're doing quantum physics, aren't you?
Yeah.
And you've solved climate change.
But not really solved. Because now we need the whole world to do the same thing.
How good is Dad at helping you with maths and science? He'd be all over it.
For
Wouldn't
God's sake.
I YouTube
you have to teach him, don't you?
that.
YouTube works wonders for parents. Hey, Adam.
Hello.
YouTube is really works wonders for us as parents.
Yeah. Do you want to go and play?
Everyone is saying, well done, buddy.
Oh,
Caroline is saying, you're a genius, Lucas.
now, are you off?
I'm staying.
Oh, you're staying?
Dad cheats.
Come on then. Come on then.
His calculator.
Mum reckons Dad's a cheat, Lucas. He uses calculators and stuff.
I'm now turning this guy to the Chinese side.
Wow.
Now I don't even understand a single word of it.
Yeah, well, do you want to go away and light it then? Go on then. Yep, go on then. Right, he's gone.
Booted him off already.
Oh.
So you're not overly helpful on the algebra and stuff, mate. I'm hearing there.
I don't know algebra.
It's funny, like when we had all the remote learning and the kids had to do their cats and stuff at home, I remember Jade coming out and going, Dad, this is I don't get it. And I'm like, oh my God, I haven't done this for 25 plus years. So I said, all right, let's have a look. I had to Google the hell out of it to get my head back around understanding. It took me about an hour and a half, but I'm proud to say I got an A+ in Year 7 maths algebra.
No.
I'm back in the game. Turn back the clock. I can still do it if I spend hours longer than it should take.
Awesome. Yeah, it's not easy for parents. I think a lot of parents suffered with homeschooling the last 2 years because, for all of us or most of us, it was working whilst having our kids home, making sure they're doing what they're supposed to and making sure you're jumping into the 10 million meetings that everyone was arranging because now everyone was doing this online. It was just insane. It was insane, yeah.
Yeah.
I'd love to know from you guys. We all struggle with homeschooling and winding back the clock and understanding it. Do you think that gives us an idea that a whole heap of what we learn at school is totally irrelevant? Because we've gone through our adult lives, we've all achieved so much, and we haven't used what 12-year-old kids, 13-year-old kids, 10-year-old kids are learning at school. From 18 years old to 44, I haven't used a bar of it, and I don't think many other people have. And I think that was a massive issue with homeschooling, that we're trying to go back to a time that, because we've never had to use it, it's not relevant in our minds anymore.
No.
So, I hear what you're saying, right? But I also have the perspective that maybe it's that, the thing where our brains discard the things we don't use. So because it's not in our fields, maybe we're not using it. But I hear you that there's a lot of things they're not teaching our kids that are really more relevant. So I'm totally with you on that. But I also think like our brains have said, you haven't used that in 2 years or a year, 6 months, it's gone, like, so we delete stuff. So maybe it's that. Whereas I think if your parent was a maths professor or a lawyer or maybe in the sciences or, I don't know, maybe that would be applicable to them. I would love to hear from those type of parents. Do they actually use all this maths? Because it's true, like I didn't remember everything. My daughter came to me with some stuff. I was like, we'll have to Google that and get some help. Yeah. Because I've just deleted all of it because it's not applicable in my day-to-day life. We are being bombarded by so much. There's so much stimulation. We're never going to hold on to all those things that are not relevant anymore.
No, I hear you both, and I totally sympathise with that because obviously with Lucas, he's 10 in January, and he's too clever for mainstream school, and it's like, I think the education with what they're teaching, it's not up to the kids' standard, and they need to come with the time. Now, I don't know about you guys, but I was brought up, and even Lucas was saying, the teacher was saying, you don't need a calculator because you're not going to have it when you grow up. But really, we do, because it's on our iPads, laptops, phones. So that's where they're wrong there. So, yeah, this is why
I'm anti-calculator. I prefer to think through it rather than, if it's something obviously like your 994.689 times 1.42 whatever, but if, like, I think a lot of people are jumping to calculators and intentionally not like for basics. Like I see people in supermarkets or like small retail outlets, and it's like it's a $25 item and a $12 item, and they're, come on, like the basics you've got to have an understanding. Like I think technology's been a downfall there, and I think I'd love to see if Lucas finds that engaging his brain more is his superpower and gives him that ability to see things more clearly than people that sit back and just automatically have the default setting of technology to just go, I'll just take the easier way out. And because obviously if we're not using our brains all the time, they're getting soft. They're not.
Yeah.
And that's what we do. We then delete it, right? Because it's not useful. It goes because it's not like our brains is like our muscles. If we don't use it, it gets mushy, flabby. So Adam, tell me, like, so is Lucas in mainstream school?
No, he's not. We've actually recently brought him out, and we're actually homeschooling him for his benefit. Okay. So yeah, and going back to his superpower, his specialized is numbers. And believe it or not, I actually introduced him to numbers through a snakes and ladders grid.
Yeah,
that and I did that when he was in reception, when he was about 3-4 years old, and he was then the first in that year to solve the 12 times tables at 4 years old.
Yeah,
so, and that's when it started growing.
That's phenomenal. And I mean, we also in a big way pushed the timetables, because I think that sometimes that's where and I don't know if everyone is doing it and how hard the schools are pushing it, but we definitely insisted our daughter know it, like, out of her head, because like you say, Steve, what we don't use, we lose. So it's so important, and that's such a good thing. So how are you guys coping? So how does the process of the homeschooling work?
Well, we actually do it different to what schools are doing out there. Now, obviously, they start at 9 o'clock in the morning. We don't start until 9:30. But obviously, due to this, Lucas isn't doing it. He's probably doing it now. I don't know. But we now teaching them life skills, and we believe, especially special needs kids like Lucas, schools don't need tests or exams or anything like that, because it puts pressure on them, and that increases their chances of developing mental health when they grow up. So we don't do tests or anything like that, but we teach them life skills they do need. So obviously, like later today, we're going out shopping, so we're going to be teaching them budgeting and adding up and everything like that. So yeah.
Yeah, and that is so true, because often, like, I found that you don't actually get taught those things at school, and we've done the same thing with my daughter. We started when she was in primary school. We say, okay, here's the budget. You know what we normally get. You get everything. And she loved it. And then she'd calculate. And she was always like spot on her budget, but with the extra things that she wanted. You know, it was always fascinating how she managed to sneak in some, you know, things that she wanted, which was good, you know. And she just took a few things out that she thought, no, we don't need to have that.
No.
But it teaches them life skills, and it's so important.
Yeah, we believe, like at one point he got really triggered when he was in mainstream, and the head teacher then rang us up and said, you need to come and get him, because he's outbursts, he's using violence, because he used that to communicate, because he was also diagnosed with a speech disorder. So we went up, picked him up, and we brought him back home, and we spoke with him, because I feel like that is the biggest failure in schools today. They don't understand the kids. They don't get down to the kids' levels and actually understand what that child's thinking. And that's what schools need to do today. And this is why we're actually pushing to get Lucas into an autism high school, which his level is at college at the minute. So, and this is why I say he's too clever for mainstream primary school.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, I'm just reading the comments. So Elizabeth says it's amazing that you're homeschooling him in life skills. I think that's absolutely fantastic. And so I'm curious, because I mean, I didn't get to talk to him much, but so did you get a speech pathologist? Because he sounded okay to me. Like I just got the basics from him.
Well,
so
he didn't start talking properly until he actually reached school. And this is why because he was only saying a couple of words growing up, and I actually introduced him to Makaton, and which is another sign for sign language. And he quickly progressed through that, and that's where the talking started coming. And then when his little sister was born, because I created this book for him, and he used to get it daily, about 5-6 times a day, and he was teaching his little sister it when he started bothering with her. So yeah, that's what it is. We need to teach the kids what's right and what's wrong, and talking to them at their level, getting better understanding, because they don't learn like we do. And yeah, they're like bubbles. Yeah, they're like bubbles.
Yeah. And so what age was Lucas diagnosed?
What, with autism? He was diagnosed almost 5 years ago. So we're talking
5?
Yeah. 2016.
Yeah.
Yeah, the pediatrician didn't want to diagnose him with autism until he was 7, but I argued that, and I appealed that and objected that, and I got it early for him.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's hard.
And so how has the journey been for you guys?
Challenging, very challenging. Yeah, it's very challenging, especially when he doesn't know his own strength.
Okay.
He's been branded not just by school, but other people as well. When he's running at you, he's like a Hulk, and he doesn't know his own strength. And he's right. He doesn't know his own strength because there's been time where he's been triggered at home, and he's picked up a cabinet and he's thrown it down the steps. And when he's at school, when he was being triggered, those picnic tables with benches attached to them, it normally takes about 6 people to pick that up. He can tip it all on his own.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so how have you guys managed that? Like, what strategies did you put in place?
What we have done is when he's in crisis, we either let him outside and just let him jump on the trampoline until he burns his energy, or if he refuses to go out, we just let him stay in his own room. And if he wants to trash it, let him trash it. But obviously, we're watching him at all time. But if he sees us, he's going to target us. So that's why we don't let him see us when he's doing it, but we can see him.
Yeah.
And with an autistic child or children, you'll know exactly who your support network is, because we've had people coming in and then saying, no, we're not having this. And they've left and they've not bothered ever since.
Yeah, and I was going to ask you that. So do you have like specific, because I think that's probably the difficulty thing.
Yeah.
Well, I've seen some videos of families where even their close families, they just don't get it.
No.
They don't understand.
No, they don't. I'm gonna shiver when I say this, but my own mother, when Lucas was only 3 years old, she brought him a birthday card, and because he doesn't understand, he's 3 years old, and he got the card and he threw it on the floor and started jumping on it. He was branded naughty for that. I'm like, that's not him being naughty. That's him. He doesn't understand what he's doing. And yeah, this is how the brain works with him. It's too much going all at once in an autistic brain, and people just don't understand. They don't.
Yeah, yeah. And so, like, friends and stuff, how have you guys, like, do you have a close circle and that's it? Have you lost friends because of that?
Yeah, we've lost friends, we've lost family members, and we feel like we're better off doing it how we're doing it now. And is it easy? No, it's not. It's if people find it easy to raising autistic children, no, you're wrong. You're wrong. You don't understand it. So it's a challenge, but there are benefits to it, because autistic children, and people need to remember this, autistic children, they don't forget. They know exactly who's in their life and who's not. And like Kerry says, it's very isolating being an autistic parent. Yes, it is.
Yeah.
It is. There's been times where not just Kerry but myself had to literally walk away from Lucas, and we started crying because of how hard it is.
Yeah, and I think our Jenny was sharing some of her personal stories with us, which I won't go into, but I think Jenny can really relate. She does say she has a grandson who is at the high end of non-verbal autism. And she can really relate to what you're saying. She was sharing some things with us, which really, it confronted me to think that people can be so cruel. And I guess, like, she was just certain incidences that sometimes happen when they're out or in the shopping center. People think it's naughtiness, as you were saying, but they don't know any better, I guess,
No, there's been time, I don't know if you know, but Manchester, in England, Trafford Centre, it was heaving. It was about 2 weeks before Christmas. We went in to go and get the kids something, and normally when we take Lucas shopping, which half the time we have to bribe him with something to take him out the house, we went to go and pick him up, and because it was that busy, he literally ran out of the shop, and I literally had to chase him, and I had to literally, in the middle of a busy Trafford Centre in Manchester, sit literally on the floor and just hold him to calm him down.
Yeah.
I've done that multiple times.
So what are the things that kind of trigger him that you have to watch out for?
Large crowds. He doesn't like that. When you go into public toilets and those hand dryers, doesn't like that.
Yeah.
LED blue lights, but we think he's coming away from that now. He hated that. I remember when he was in a mainstream school, and they knew he was coming because he was only on part-time table then. They knew he was coming, and they forgot to turn the Christmas tree lights off, which were LED blue. And this was in front of the head teacher as well. He literally grabbed the tree and he launched it. And yeah, obviously he didn't get put in trouble because we did warn them.
Yes.
And they just forgot. So yeah.
So would you find it's obviously much more, which I think is the same with all children, if you can be preemptive around the things that are going to be a potential once you've sort of learnt what things, I don't like the word trigger, but things that could set off certain behaviour patterns, like being preemptive and trying to sort of eliminate that as much as possible or steer away from them would be highly beneficial, so that you're sort of not reacting, but you've got it set in place before the event.
Yeah, we've got loads of visual things around the house, and if there's nothing visual, he will kick off. And he will literally protest about doing anything. Even it comes to brushing his teeth. If he doesn't see that on his morning routine, he will not do it. He won't do it.
So he's quite structured. He
He's
likes his
structured.
routines and his structure.
Yeah.
So what do you have to do? You have to have something up that says exactly what he's going to be doing.
Yeah. We've literally got things in a list. We've got it all over the house. And like, for example, brushing teeth, washing your hands, washing your face. We put it on and how long you have to do it for. He does hit last minute changes to his routine. Does he try and change the routine? Yes, he does. But after long-term thinking about it, he just pisses himself off by doing it. So it's like, no, we're sticking to this, like it or not. But his worst time of the year is around Christmas, because that's where the biggest changes come.
In what sense?
Well, he likes Christmas altogether because he knows he gets new things. But going out around Christmas, he doesn't like it because he knows there's going to be huge crowds. Like the Christmas switch on in different towns, we can't go to them. We can't.
Yeah.
I don't blame him. I'm exactly the same. I spoke to you on Sunday when I was dragged to one of the main shopping centres in East Melbourne. I don't know what my wife and daughter were thinking. It is not my space. I do not like to be in chaos and around people that are just meandering, and then they stop in the middle of where everyone's got to walk and they chat, and it's like, shopping for me is a destination for a purpose. I want to go in, get my stuff, and get out. I don't want the big crowd. I don't want the party scene. I don't want the bright lights, the glitz and the glamour. I think it's much easier, and I see where Lucas is coming from.
Yeah.
I go at this time of year because they're open late. I will go if I have to get something. I will go at midnight. I'll go at 1 a.m. just to avoid that annoyance and irritants, because it makes perfect sense to me. A lot of what I've understood from autistic behaviours makes a lot of sense to me.
Yeah.
Now, there's a shop in our town called Primark. It's a clothing shop. And if we go in and Lucas knows he's not coming out for something for himself, he won't go in. He won't go into that shop. He will literally only go into that shop if he's getting something for himself. That's how much we're living like.
So it's kind of like a reward system.
Yes.
and he'll push himself through whatever he needs to.
Yeah.
To get that reward. Yeah, it's I guess we all as parents have those things that our kids, they want something, otherwise they're not doing it.
Exactly. And there's been times where, and this was as soon as we homeschooled him, it was the day after we brought him out and we announced everything that we've been homeschooled. We said, right, it's time for bed. And 10 minutes later, he came into our room. I can't sleep because I want to go back to school. I'm like, sorry, but that can't happen because emails have been sent, calls have been made. Can't do that. So what we did is we brought out these GCSE books. It's mathematics, and like, go and have a look through that. So he did. He made me do it, hence why Kerry took a picture of that. Then he wanted to take it. I'm like, okay, have that. And it turned out he didn't fall asleep till midnight that night because I literally had to go downstairs with him with his board, and he was teaching me about the solar system until midnight. I'm like, thanks, Lucas.
So, what about boundaries?
Oh, boundaries. He's got a lot of boundaries, and he has trust issues. If he, for example, sees you for the very first time and we haven't spoken, he won't communicate with you. You'll get nothing out of him. But because he knows we've spoken via messaging and calls, he knows, right, if mum and dad trust that person, I can trust that person. So that's why you get communication out of him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And understanding.
Yeah.
I like what Jenny says there too, which is exactly the same here. In New Zealand, the supermarkets have introduced their weekly sensory hour so that, it's no loud music, less amount of customers, dimmed lights and trained staff. I know Coles definitely does it in Australia. I don't know if Woolworths does as well, but it's a fantastic initiative. The only hard part is it's an hour. So to say that every single person in that scenario has that specific hour of the week to be able to attend the supermarket.
I agree.
I know it's not possible to make it always work for everyone, but I think as an initiative, it's brilliant. Absolutely brilliant.
See, if you want my views on those sensory hours, I think that could be a trigger to someone over an opportunity, because an hour, if that autistic person is going into that store, they've got all these options to choose of, and because they're being limited, that could potentially cause a sensory overload to them. And I don't feel like there's enough of these sensory times as well. There's not enough. Now, obviously, with cinemas, we've took him once, and because it was too much for him, he kept asking to leave, and it was going to see his favourite film as well. He just won't have any of it. Like the cinemas, they've only got sensory times once a year. It's not enough. It's not enough.
Yeah, and I think that's a challenge, isn't it? I mean, when you're talking about the almighty dollar and a business is there solely for its shareholders or its turnover, I see both sides. It's got to be difficult for them to structure in things and still be turning over what has to be turned over. But then also on the other side of the coin, if you could make it, maybe they need to have something in the AM hours and the PM hours, so it's not like, because I presume there's certain personalities, not just autism, but various other personalities that would only want to go out, because, I mean, we're not only just talking kids here, we're talking adults, so I presume a lot of them would presume that they'd like the sensory hour just for their own peace of mind to go shopping on their own, and there'd be some that just don't do mornings. So if that shop that does their sensory hours like 9 a.m., it wipes them out. Whereas if they had a 9 a.m. or a 10 a.m. maybe, so you get through your morning workers going to work and school mum stuff, and then maybe like a 2 p.m. just so you can open it up to different spheres of how people are comfortable in what they want to take on board. At least you're giving two options. I know it's like, in an ideal world, you could almost have separate supermarkets, but It's a tricky
Yeah.
scenario to try to navigate through.
And as Kerry says, we've only ever caught one of those sensory others.
Yeah.
And he's nearly
How
10.
often do they shoot? Yeah.
1 in 10
I
years.
mean, I presume as a parent, it would be easier. You'd make the decision to go with what's easiest for you. And if that means just one parent does the shopping and leaves the kids at home with the other, or like you minimize the time, like, well, I suppose when the kids were at school, it'd be easy. You go, right, we do the shop then, rather than just have to go through the rigmarole of what could be a potential problem.
Mm.
But so, Adam, is the aim to get him out? Is that kind of to give him experiences?
Yeah, we definitely want him to get outside because being trapped in all the time, it's not good. It's not good for him. Now, I know things have changed since our childhood. Now, I'm going to show my age now. But video games. He could literally spend between 12 and 15 hours on a console. Solid.
Yeah.
And it's not enough. So this is why we're going to get him outside. We're going to get him into this autism high school, and we're not going to stop until it's done. And we've seen the things they can teach him. Like, we've been around twice. He loves it. They're basically like a school curriculum, but if they see a talent or skill that child offers, they're going to do that. They're going to teach him it. Like, for example, trigonometry, Pythagoras, quantum physics, they're going to do it. And also in the playground, just up from it, there's a camping site. So they're going to teach him that, connecting with nature. And I think that's brilliant.
Fantastic.
Yeah, and at least he'll have, like, his peers will be in the same space or can identify, like,
it's more boys as well.
The things that he's going through. So how does that work now? Like, has he got like a close friend or friends that come over? How does that work?
No. He can't go to parties. Now, obviously, because he's 10 in about a month, first time in his life, he's asked for a party.
Oh.
First time in his life. And but he never gets invited to them. Never. Now, we did actually take him to one, which one of his cousins, and they've got an autistic child as well, but he's non-verbal. And everyone expected a full-blown meltdown, a war between them both. But really, when they're connected, and on a positive wave. We were all shocked.
And have you had them over? Can you do play dates?
He's never come to this house, no. But when we've gone to him, because things have got too much for Lucas, he ended up going upstairs into this autistic child's room and just put sensory headphones on and just, that's it. We didn't see him for about next hour. So it's like we have to do things on that autistic person's terms. Yeah, which can be hard.
Yeah. And so you and Kerry, I mean, how are you guys going? Like, I know you said it was hard. Like, do you have time out? Do you have date nights?
It's hard, but yes, we do. But in all honesty, I don't think we have enough. Yeah, it's a tricky one, but we try and fit it in. We try.
Yeah, because it's important for you, for your own sanity, and for both of you together as a couple to also have that time where you're just away from it all. Because even like we have our kids, we need space. So, and you have so much more that, on your plate. Yeah. So I just think it's probably good. So who would come in when you guys decide to go, maybe for a movie or whatever, dinner on your own?
Nobody.
So, So then, like, what happens? Who's watching the kids?
We only have these date nights in, obviously, when we put the kids to bed.
Oh,
So yeah,
okay.
there's literally no support. We've got
Wow.
no. Exactly. In space of our youngest is 8, and in both their lives, we've only ever had 4 nights away from the kids. Not enough.
Not enough.
But we're not bothered about it, because
Yeah.
the kids are going to grow up and they're going to realize mum and dad were always there.
Yeah. Listen, look, that is amazing, and that is special. And look, I mean, even I can identify with that. Sometimes you don't want to be away from your kids, but you know, as long as you guys individually are maybe getting that space yourself, because you need that as well. You both need that, because
and obviously, as Kerry says, we don't go out as a couple. We don't. And even if we only have an hour at night, that we make that hour crucial.
Yeah. It's fantastic. I mean, the dedication is absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
But for you guys, it's I mean, that's your life at this point.
It is.
Yeah, not easy.
Not
easy. Yeah.
No, it's not easy, but it's very beneficial. Very beneficial, because they know, kids know what's right, what's wrong, and what we're teaching them is brilliant. It is, because they're not just learning from us; we're learning from them as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Kids, exactly. They know what's going on. They're so in tune with us, and they sense whether the connection is real, there's something underlining, or there's just pure love. They know, because they are. I mean, they are like that. They're pure love.
Exactly. Yeah,
it's amazing.
So true.
And so, do you guys? Hey.
It's universal, isn't it? It's like every single child has that nature, and it's what the space we're allowing them to grow into, and the environment we're providing is so crucial. And it's having that understanding for the individual. Like, if we take autism out of this, even if you had 2 autistic children, they could be polar opposites. Not every behavior pattern is going to match. So taking the time to have the awareness of each unique child's personal traits, interests, triggers, hate it, but I'll use it, triggers. I think taking the time to understand and appreciate is massive. It's absolutely massive. And it'd be easy for a lot of parents to go, well, this is just too hard. I'm not going to put the effort in. I'm not going to put the time in. But you're doing yourself a disservice, because I guarantee, as much as you're teaching Lucas, you're learning more on a daily basis. You're in the box seat for knowledge. You can just embrace what they've got to give. And I think that's where the label is the biggest stigma of all.
Yeah.
Because you can either say there's Lucas with autism, or there's Lucas, a maths genius with a great mind who's just destined to do amazing things. It's how you put it into context is huge.
Yeah, with what he said he wanted to be when he's older, even though he's changed his mind multiple times. Yeah, I love what he's dedicated to, what he wants to do. I love it.
Yeah, I love the fact that you and Kerry are so into it. I mean, like, you in this together. Often, sometimes when this happens, there is cracks in the marriage and the relationship, because it can be such a taxing thing on the family, and there's no judgment at all, because everyone deals with situations differently. But I think I admire the fact that the two of you are really, so connected in that sense that you're doing this together, and you've kind of sacrificed what it sounds like to me such a lot. So it's really
Exactly. Yeah. Obviously, I'll get to your question in a minute, Steve. But obviously, like Kerry
Sorry,
says,
did I jump in there?
yeah. No, Lucas knows his autism is his superpower, and I know many parents teach the kids that autism or ADHD it could be a bit of I know we know it's a label, but it could be a barrier to them, and the anxiety levels kicking constantly. But yeah, it's really pleasing to know that he's doing this. Yeah, and obviously to your question, Steve, what he wants to do. At one point, he wants to be an architect, but he don't want to do that anymore. He wants to obviously be a YouTuber. He's mathematician, which he's already halfway there. And he actually wants to take over Warrior TV as well. So,
good on him.
Yeah,
Really?
yeah. He doesn't nag me to take over it now. He doesn't, but he knows when I die, he's going to be taking over.
Wow, that's awesome. And it's fantastic. I mean, that's kids. They change their minds all the time. And I guess as he grows, he'll find different things to be interested in. Yeah. Yeah.
You definitely don't have to decide at a young age.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, obviously, when I was young, I didn't know mental health actually existed. But Lucas, when he was in school, he was doing mental health this, mental health that. He kept promoting mental health warriors. So I'm like, go on, dude.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
But it wasn't a discussion. It didn't exist.
Exactly.
Well, obviously it existed, but the conversation didn't exist.
No.
You wouldn't know a thing. And as a man, you wouldn't have been allowed to talk about it if you did know about it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's an ever-evolving world, thankfully.
Thankfully, because like kids who were on the spectrum, they were hidden. If anything was suspected, it wasn't openly discussed. I think the stigma is still there because people don't understand it, and don't know how to ask. What would you like someone who doesn't know to ask you, instead of just maybe like offending you or offending Lucas, or saying how would you like the situation to be, especially for those friends that you, for example, lost? So how would you have liked them to behave? Or
well, it's going back to when he was in mainstream school. He was in crisis and he was running around the gym, and that actually that calmed him down. But when this particular teacher, who he really loved, was there calming him down, the head teacher walked in, and he literally stopped what he's doing. Did Lucas? He looked at her and he screamed for her to get out, because one thing which I've learned from is one thing he does not like is two authority figures in the same room as him. Now, obviously, he sees that head teacher as an authority, and he saw me as an authority figure as well. And only one he will cope with. Two, no. And obviously, then the head teacher left, and then he calmed down gradually.
So is it that you want people to understand that is what happens? And
yeah, definitely people to understand better. And it's not just boys with autism as well, it's girls as well, because girls are very good at masking autism as well. Now, obviously, his little sister, it could be diagnosed with autism soon anyway. So that's us raising two autistic kids.
do you think she's on the spectrum?
Yes, yeah. The professionals have said that she's showing a lot more signs of autism, a lot more. So that's going to be two we're going to be raising. Do we care? No, we don't. But yeah, Kerry's non-stop's crying because she thinks she's on the spectrum as well. So there you go. I'll be dealing with 3 of them. I'll be bald by the end of 35.
Who cares?
Coming.
We love bald men,
It's coming.
right? Yeah.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah, go Tessa. It's awesome.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think it's amazing, and it's like, I mean, Steve and I know very little about autism, besides what I've read, and like listening to parents, but often parents don't always tell you everything, because it's also a lot, I guess, for the parent. And sometimes do you think there's like shame and guilt around the situation?
Yeah. Yes. And there's definitely a big stigma around it also. Massive stigma. I remember, and I'm just thinking top of my head now, the school exclusions. There's 26%, and this was from last year, 26% of autistic children are being excluded over the 4% that don't have autism that are being excluded. That just, those figures. Yeah, on bad days we do hit autism, but like yesterday, Lucas was in really bad crisis, really bad, and he kept saying all the worst things under the sun, and we're just saying that's okay because we still love you anyway. And I think that's what makes him think. It's autism is really complex, and people do need a better understanding of it, bigger understanding. Yeah.
Well, I think my so on a personal note, my one closest experience, I would say, to autism was I have coached a player on the spectrum, and as a coach, I think she'd been let down through her whole sporting life with lack of understanding and so forth that pigeonholed her into positions. And I've got to say, the one thing that got me through to her really well and worked for a number of years was I took autism completely off the table. I looked deep inside to the person, and I just spent every minute watching, learning, understanding what I could say, my actions, my physiology that would benefit her most and see her elevate. And that made fundamental change. I didn't care. She was a player on my team. And what could I do to bring the best out of her and make her feel the most at home? And it worked phenomenally. It was absolutely amazing that couple of years, and the growth and achievement. She went from being told she wasn't allowed to play more than a half by a previous coach to winning my coach's award and also coming third in my best and fairest in the space of 2 seasons.
Yeah, and
so I think just taking that look and read them and understand them, it's worth its weight in gold.
Exactly. And just a couple of things. When we had him in school, he was being triggered because he wasn't allowed to do things he wanted to do. Like, for example, learn about trigonometry, learn things he's passionate about. Those were boundaries. And I even said in the meeting, the reason we actually brought him out, because I got asked this, why did you bring him out? I said, because the school was putting barriers in front of him, and you should never put a barrier in front of a child, especially a child at Luke's level. You should never. And they actually agreed with me. You should never. And obviously, ever since he's been homeschooled, because he's doing things he loves and he's learning what he loves, we've had no violent outbursts. Yeah, we've had crisis, but we haven't had violent outbursts like he was doing at school. None.
Yeah.
None. And just another one is, if people really want to understand autism the best, I highly recommend a book. And it's called, I can't remember who it's from, but it's called The Reason I Jump. It's regarding this early teenage autistic kid, and it explained the world of autism, of why they do what they do.
And I think, you know, like I mean, we know our schools are not equipped for all the mental illnesses that are out there, and that we should treat, like Steve was saying, treat everyone as you would treat anyone else. Like, you know, people who have a mental illness they have an illness, but they want to be respected. They want to, same like you, they want to live a fantastic life, the same like you. They just have things that they need to do differently. And so, you know, I work in the mental health space, and people just say, treat me like a normal person, because I am.
Yeah.
You know? And so it's sad to think that we stop ourselves and think, oh, this person, there's something wrong, you know? And there's so much stigma around that, which is hard, but it's because people don't understand, and they don't take the time to understand. And our schools, our teachers are not taught in a way where they have the space or the capacity to embrace that. At least some of our schools are introducing tutors now, so that those kids with specific needs can be given more freedom to really go into like the fields that they can go into, or learn at a different pace, the pace that they need to learn at.
Yeah, absolutely. And I remember just one of the old schools he used to, not the recent one, but another one. He was assaulted by the teachers and bullied because of the lack of understanding. So obviously I then raised that seriously with every relevant professional, even the Aldridge Foundation who own that school. And I raised it as a serious concern. And obviously that teacher was then caught on CCTV assaulting him. Obviously they've now been dismissed. But then I said what they need to do is the teachers, including the head teacher, need to be better trained at autism.
Yeah.
And then the following few weeks after that, I seen teachers disappearing out the school. And it turned out they were actually going to London to do an autism training course. I'm like, it's about bloody time.
Fantastic. You know, I love it when there is action, because I guess that's what we want. We want our concerns to be heard, because these are our kids, you know. We want our concerns to be heard, and we want the schools and the various bodies to take action and show us that they care, because why else did they get into teaching?
Exactly.
You know?
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah, agreed.
Yeah, there's so much more to learn.
We're always learning.
Yeah.
That's
always.
And education's never going to stop. Hopefully they'll keep learning.
Yeah.
I mean, we know they only have one style that doesn't suit the 4 different techniques that different people need to learn. That's why so many kids just slip through, because you can't just have a visual technique. You can't just have an auditory technique. It doesn't work. But that has never been taught in teaching. And look, to be honest, it's probably not going to be, because you'd have to teach them something totally outside of the teaching field.
Yeah.
Which would be great, but I don't know. Hasn't happened for 200 years. I'm not holding my breath that it's going to happen in the next 10, but fingers crossed we can keep putting it out there and just helping spread the word of what can be done.
And this is why I was saying that come New Year, I want the mental health warriors to actually go out in the community, go inside schools if it means it, and teach the kids and the teachers to get inside the subconscious mind, and they'll tap into law of attraction as well, because that'll get them a better understanding.
Yeah, true. Jenny says one size does not fit all.
Exactly.
So true. Yeah, absolutely.
No, one size doesn't even fit a 10th.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm.
All right.
Anything
Well,
else?
I reckon we're just about out. But Adam, what have we got coming up tomorrow? You're normally my prompter in the comments to give me a reminder, so you can just do it verbally this time.
Well, you're tomorrow, but our tonight, Dale's back, 8 p.m. UK time with Straight Sane and Sober. And the guest is actually Caroline Bennis.
Ah,
Oh,
interesting.
could you have a better
Caroline's
guest?
on.
Sorry, Adam. Just nudge you to the side there, but God, yeah, what a guest. That'll be bloody
know.
awesome.
I know. Yeah, well, obviously it was originally supposed to be Camille, but Camille's not well. So obviously we wish her well. Yeah.
Always. Camille's a
Yeah.
superstar.
She is.
She just can't bring herself to not only come on with me. That's the problem. That's made her sick. No, she's an absolute treasure of a human. Absolutely love her to death.
I want to say thanks to Jenny as well. I'm just realizing because we're talking times. It's 11:30 where Jenny is in New Zealand. I think they're 2 hours or 3 hours ahead.
Yeah, still 2 hours.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep, you're back tomorrow.
Well, you know, I don't even have to tell people when I'm on. They know I'm just furniture. On a Wednesday night in Australia, there's Steve sitting in front of the camera, ready to go. No need to promote. No, guys, as always, that was great. We've learnt so much tonight. Loved all the comments. We always appreciate everyone's interaction. I don't know how many times I'm going to say it, but it makes the show. It really does. Having people there and asking questions and sharing your thoughts. We learn so much from you guys and appreciate it all so much. Yeah. Adam, thanks heaps, mate. Lucas, champion. Loved seeing the Rubik's Cube get smashed out.
Thanks.
And honestly, hats off to you and Kerry. You sounds like you're doing an amazing job. And we could see it, you know, the little bit that we saw of Lucas. He's quite engaging, and
Yes.
Yeah,
only because I bribed him to do that. Because he wanted a Rubik's Cube to come on. I bribed him. So I'm like,
well, also good luck with getting him into his high school.
Yeah. We don't need luck, but thanks.
Okay.
Make it happen.
It's happening. It's happening.
Yes.
You're claiming it. Yes.
Well,
Nah,
as the motto says, hashtag never quit.
Absolutely.
Never ever. Well, thanks everyone. I think we've taken up enough of your Tuesday morning, Tuesday night,
Tuesday morning.
Wherever you are. Doesn't matter where you are.
Wherever you are in the world.
And Jenny, go to bed. You stayed up way too late supporting us. We love you.
Go to bed.
And one very last thing. Obviously, for Australia, coming up tomorrow is the 1st of December. And as we've discussed last week on the show, myself with the amazing Caroline on Saturday, Adam's been talking about it. 1st of December is when, as a crew, we are kicking off our healthier, more physical well-being end to the year, so we can come into Christmas in our best possible minds, bodies, souls, spirits, everything we can. So feel free to interact in the group. We'll be posting whatever we're achieving and just have a whole heap of support, love and accountability, community, passion, love, drive, hugeness. Let's just make it awesome.
Fantastic. And also another, I guess this is just a disease, but it's World AIDS Day, I think. And there's also a lot of stigma around that. I think it's normally the 1st of December. And I think everyone needs compassion and kindness with whatever they're going through.
Yeah, I agree.
Awesome. Love it.
Awesome.
It's a love fest as always. So thanks, guys. Thanks so much for watching and watching the replay. We will see you all very soon.
Yeah.
Bye.
Thanks for joining us, Adam. Cheers.